Hey everyone, Steve here with the Sunday Stoic Podcast. I'll be back with a new episode next week. Meanwhile, if you want to support the show, you can do so on Patreon, www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. You can earn rewards, you can chat with me, join the community of Sunday Stoic listeners. And I'll see you next week. Carpe diem.
Wisdom,
Prudentia,
justice,
Justitia,
temperance,
Temperantia,
courage.
Fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to another episode of the Sunday Stoic. My name is Ryan, and I will be your guest host for this week. Before I get started, I'd like to thank Steve once again for allowing me to guest host. I've really enjoyed the previous two episodes that I did, and I'm really excited for this one as well. So today we're going to be focusing on New Year's resolutions, and in particular what the Stoics have to say about creating meaningful goals. So what I'm going to do for this episode is I'm going to read 5 different quotes. These quotes come from Epictetus, in particular the Enchiridion. And then after each quote, I'm going to reflect and talk about how this links to creating good goals for 2021. So the first quote comes from chapter 1. Make it your study then to confront every harsh impression with the words, "You are but an impression, and not at all what you seem to be." Then test it by those rules that you possess, and first by this, the chief test of all, is it concerned with what is in our power, or what is not in our power? And if it is concerned with what is not in our power, be ready with the answer that it is nothing to you. So right here, Epictetus is reminding us about the dichotomy of control. Now, this phrase, for those who have never heard of it before, involves getting us to reflect on what is within our immediate control and what is not within our control, and really focusing in on the things that we have direct control over. So when you're creating goals, you should be creating goals that are in your control. If you say, I want to lose 50 pounds, you might have a bit of control over that, but if you don't hit that mark, you're going to be really disappointed and say that you failed. So what should you do? Focus on the habits that could get you there. Say, I want to eat healthier, and you can be as specific as you can, a certain amount of days per week, or exercise every day. Focus on the process rather than the end result. And this will allow you to create goals that you could actually attain. The next quote comes from chapter 20. Remember that foul words or blows in themselves are no outrage, but your judgment that they are so. So when anyone makes you angry, know that it is your own thought that has angered you. Wherefore make it your first endeavor not to let your impressions carry you away. For if once you gain time and delay, you will find it easier to control yourself. So right here, Epictetus is talking about anger and how when we get frustrated and when we get angry, what we should do is really pause and take time to not react and respond right away. This is something I struggle with, especially being an educator, where I may be dealing with student behavior and it's tough not to respond right away. But what Epictetus is telling us to do is take that moment and gather your thoughts, be still, and really bring more awareness to that situation. We don't want to react just because someone reacted a certain way, but really take that time to gather yourself, and this will allow us to be more stoic. So we can mention one of our goals going into the new year is to stop before reacting and take maybe 5 seconds to gather ourselves so that we don't lash back at someone. Here's the third quote. This is from chapter 45. If a man wash quickly, do not say that he washes badly, but that he washes quickly. If a man drinks much wine, do not say that he drinks badly, but that he drinks much. For until you have decided what judgment prompts him, how do you know that he acts badly? If you do as I say, you will assent to your own apprehensive impressions and to none other. So here Epictetus is telling us to speak the truth and speak the actual facts of a situation. Very much related to the previous quote. in the sense of sometimes we react and add judgments upon certain situations, and that could help us get all riled up and angry. We should really try our best to speak the facts. So if someone annoys you at work or a family member is upsetting you, don't say, oh, they're such a bad person or they were trying to get under my skin, unless you know for sure that is the case, which we can't really know for sure if someone is a bad person. You shouldn't be using those words. So if you really stick to the facts, it could really help de-escalate a situation and could really help you remain calm. Again, this is one I struggle with, but one I would like to implement in the new year. I'd really want to get away from generalizations, exaggerations, and really focus on what is actually going on. So let's move on to the next quote. This is from chapter 33. In your conversation, avoid frequent and disproportionate mention of your own doings or adventures. For other people do not take the same pleasure in hearing what has happened to you as you take in recounting your adventures. So here Epictetus is telling us to not go around and gloat and speak about ourselves to other people. This is something that I used to do a lot when I was in university, and I think the reason why is because this is something I did a lot, especially when I was completing my master's in university. And I think I did this because we were kind of taught to gloat about our research and talk about our impressive bios and how we want to apply for graduate scholarships and PhDs. But really, when it comes down to it, no one really wants to hear that. In fact, people would prefer if you ask about them and put the direction on them. I know someone who did this marvelously was Fred Rogers. And last year I watched the film Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood starring Tom Hanks. And you really saw the way he was able to shift that attention not on himself, but on others, being curious about others' stories. And really, this made him a very lovable person. So we should try our best in the new year to do that, to try to shift the attention away from us. This is something I tried doing this past year. And though I'm not always good at it, I do sometimes like talking about my own experiences a little bit too much. I think it allowed me to build some great relationships in 2020. And the last quote comes from, again, chapter 33. Refuse the entertainments of strangers and the vulgar, and if occasions arise to accept them, then strain every nerve to avoid lapsing into the state of the vulgar. For know that, if your comrade have a stain on him, he that associates with him must needs share the stain, even though he could be clean in himself. Here, Epictetus is telling us, choose our friends wisely. We have to really do that, and we have control over that. We have to think about who brings us up, who makes a positive influence in our lives, and really try to stick to them. And if we're associated with people who try to bring us down all the time, maybe bring negativity to our lives or to others, maybe it's time to rethink that relationship. And I mean, it's a bit of a mixed blessing, but this is a time where a lot of people have had to strain themselves to keep up with certain relationships and friendships because we can't see people face to face. This could be an opportunity to just naturally drift away from people that we feel aren't bringing a positive influence in our lives. As you probably realized, all of these quotes relate to things that are in our immediate control. And they're not really product-based, such as I want to lose a certain amount of weight, I want to win a championship, I want to get a full-time job, I want this amount of money in the bank. But they're all process-based. Things we could do every day and things that we can incorporate into our habits for us to be more virtuous. So thank you all for listening to these 5 Stoic tips about how to create meaningful goals in the new year. Again, I'd like to thank Steve for allowing me to come on. I really appreciate it. A bit of news, Steve will be returning next week to the mic. I'm very excited to hear him and for him to talk about his time away from the Sunday Stoic. Thank you all for listening, and Carpe Diem.
Thank you for listening to the Sunday Stoic. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review the Sunday Stoic on iTunes. Become a member of the Sunday Stoic team, earn rewards, and be an integral part of the show by becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Contact the show by emailing sundaystoic@gmail.com. To find out more, visit www.sundaystoicpodcast.com. And as Steve always says, Carpe Diem.